don't go for a big bang. Go for incremental value realization throughout the implementation cycle.
There were 250,000 contracts that we were churning on that weekend.
We can handle bad data, but bad governance is something which is difficult to overcome.
They went from a process which was completely manual to about 70% of it being autonomous, driven by the system.
Their life is simpler on the system is truly one of the most important goals that we take into account when we walk into an implementation.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. How long should a CLM implementation take? Ajanta, we've known each other for what, 20 years now?
A little over now.
And, even though you don't try very hard, you're always the smartest one in the room. You're a prolific lawyer. You worked in CLM for more than 15 years now. And I'd love to have a chat with you. Let's demystify CLM implementations, what it takes, what is a CLM implementation, and let's get into the details.
Absolutely. I think it's been a wonderful ride for me. For just under 20 years, I've been involved with the CLM world, seen it evolve from the very basic rules-based workflows and processes that we had to what we have today, which is completely path-breaking GenAI-enabled processes. Implementation is definitely, something which has always been at the heart of any good CLM deployment at customers, and have seen over, I think by now I would have seen over 120 implementations. And it's been a learning curve for all of us here.
So for the people watching this, Ajanta, can you tell us what are the key steps in an implementation?
Very simple. I think it's a 5-step process. You start by defining your goals. You ensure that what you want to achieve as an organization is well set out. Then, of course, you have to find your data, right? You have to ensure that your data that you want to onboard onto the CLM system is in a place, or at least you know where it resides today. And then you talk about your process, right? You are making a shift in the way you work. You are moving from a manual process, which is mostly enabled by very small, efficiency tools, maybe like an Outlook or something else, to a process that is tech first. So you are going to want to evolve your manual processes to a more tech-enabled process to get the best out of the CLM. And then, of course, you implement it. You make sure that you have the right connectors to your data. You make sure that your data is onboarded well, efficiently, with the right kind of analytics insights available from it. And then you go ahead and you go live with your users.
Let me ask you a hard question, Ajanta. Tell me the top 2 pain points that a customer may experience during a CLM implementation.
There are quite a few which we see across the board. But the 2 primary ones that I've seen repeatedly where the customers come up against, one is definitely not having your data sources mapped out properly. So not understanding as an organization where all your data resides, which you want to bring into your CLM platform to manage more proactively. So that's definitely one. It takes a while for them to get it right if they haven't done the homework first. And the second is where they are so embedded into their current manual processes that they want to lift and shift that into a tech-enabled environment. And of course, it's not ideal if you want to do things exactly the way you were doing, using very low-tech environment and bring it onto a system. You have to think about that. And we help them think through that process through our best practices, through our model processes that we provide to our customers as a starting point. But definitely, those 2 always create the most noise during implementations.
At Sirion, how have you helped our customers get over these key pain points?
In addition to everything else that we help our customers with by providing them the right kind of models and structures before they even begin the implementation, Two of the most important differentiators for us, I would say, are the best practices and the standardized gold processes that we provide them. Through our experiences across hundreds of implementation, we've been able to devise processes that work best in most situations. Of course, we cater to customers' unique requirements, but honestly speaking, if you ask me, there aren't too many unique requirements that we come across on a regular basis, but having the right kind of standards, having the right kind of best practices, having the right kind of models to start with is definitely a core differentiator for us.
And these are all embedded within the Sirion platform. So it's not like, there's a process and then you're taking an empty system and implementing it. The implementation comes pre-baked. Literally on day one, you have a fully implemented CLM platform. If you want to choose to get started with that, you can.
Absolutely. And that's the key differentiator for us. We not only bring our experts, but we bring a system that has been built with our expertise and our knowledge and our experience. And honestly speaking, a lot of our customers have been able to benefit from it. We have been able to go through rapid implementation cycles using these as the baseline. And definitely, we keep building on it. It's not a point-in-time exercise that we do. We keep building our best practices. We keep evolving our designs. And ultimately, our objective is to be able to get to a point where our customers can walk in with their requirements. We do a very quick mapping exercise to which design would fit them best and start with that. And hopefully that will help us get to a point of implementing within weeks.
Let me ask you this. Describe to me what a quintessential CLM implementation looks like. What does it contain?
Many things, but the 5 things that stand out for me, definitely the first one is common alignment on goals. When we go to a customer environment, we need to ensure that everybody at the customer's end who are going to be the final consumer of the solution have a common goal. And that truly helps drive the implementation in the right direction. Second is, of course, making sure that whatever data that we are managing for the customer, it needs to at least have a source. The customer needs to know where it is residing today. And you'd be surprised, it sounds very simple, but that is one of the most important things we come up against, just finding the right source of data and ensuring that we have it all. The third is, I would say, processes. Most of the time, we are the first entrant into the customer's environment, bringing about a tech-enabled, tech-first process. Having that conversation with the customer to make sure that we understand what they are looking for and how they want to transform themselves from the manual processes over to a tech-first process, that's a true conversation. It's really meaningful and it truly evolves the customer's environment into what they want it to be. The fourth one, I would say, is definitely the people in the room. Who are there? Who are the stakeholders? Who do we need to make sure we address all the business problems or business challenges? That's important because at the end of the day, the users are the one who will be interacting with the system on a daily basis. So making sure that their life is simpler on the system is truly one of the most important goals that we, take into account when we walk into an implementation. And lastly, of course, how you deploy it, right? How you work with the various challenges that you have within the customer environment, the regions that you have to implement, the scope of the implementation, what are the solutions that they're looking for, how many regions, how many geographies, how many different business units, how many transactions. That's definitely very important to map out to ensure that whatever you do truly aligns to the global goal that the customer has.
Thank you so much for sharing those 5 ports of call. Each of them they need to be done thoughtfully. Quintessential customers that we at Sirion implement are some of the largest companies in the world, right?
Correct, yes.
And they don't just have, a large volume of contracts. They have a large typology of contracts that they draft on an ongoing basis. And these are geographically spread across business units, across transaction categories. However, the common goal of a CLM system should be to create something where you can see all contracts, from a common light, from a single pane of glass. You should be able to drill down into, whichever stream of contract is needed, and allowing you to, while each process may be different and unique, you should still have a common substrate of intelligence that comes out of it. And I feel that initial implementation should drive what that single pane of glass would look like, make sure all personas benefit from it. The leadership of the organization has visibility that they've never had before. I think so many wonderful things can come out of a successful CLM implementation. Do you remember that time when we stood up a system of record which was completely digital over the weekend?
I do remember that time. I think from what I recall, it was for an M&A exercise that our customer was doing, who was in the energy sector. And we had to onboard, digitize, extract, give insights from their contracts within a period of 2 days. And it was an intensive exercise, of course, but it was made simple because of the best practices and designs we had ready and we had handy with us.
Absolutely. And if I remember correctly, I think there were 250,000 contracts that we were churning on that weekend. I couldn't agree more. I feel that, if you have the right data in place, you understand what your business objectives are, and you rely on the best practices that are embedded in the platform. On the 80-20 rule, your implementation is almost complete. And then every organization is unique and may need nuances which are driven by regulatory needs, by internal business processes, or the business or industry that they serve. In those cases, one does a bit of additional configuration and you're ready to go.
Absolutely. In fact, you will also recall the other situation with one of our customers who was facing so much concern and internal strife over their low value, high volume contracting, where they used to do, I think, 1,800 contracts per month of a specific transaction category. And they wanted us to enable that, automate that as much as possible. And we did that. Within a period of 3.5 weeks, we were able to give them a process. We were able to onboard their content, which is their templates for that particular transaction type. We were able to switch on that process so that over, I think, 1,200 business users, internal lawyers, as well as, other ancillary teams were able to interact with the system and get their contracts going for this agreement type. And a beautiful case study, by the way. It went smoothly, and over time we onboarded many more of their complex contracts. And right now they use Sirion, at its best.
In this particular example, I remember they went from a process which was completely manual to about 70% of it being autonomous, driven by the system, and people coming in when they needed to and when they needed to bring in their judgment to the process. Otherwise, these low complexity, high volume transactions can pretty much run by themselves.
Absolutely. And in fact, that is the best practice we want to be able to share with our customer. And we want to be able to tell them to adopt the models that we provide as much as possible. Of course, keeping in mind what you said, right? We have to take into account a customer's nuances, which are unique to them because of the geography, because of the regulatory environment that they work in. But 80% of it should be applicable, and you should have a solid foundation to work with when you implement.
Last question. let's talk about the elephant in the room. How long should a CLM implementation take?
The answer is a little nuanced. However, according to me, if you break down your priorities well, if you phase it out well, you will be able to see value from an implementation very early on in the process. Within a couple of weeks, you should start interacting with the system as end users. For example, your repository, right? Your data source can definitely be onboarded on Sirion very rapidly. Get insights from them so that you can search it better, you can query it better. And that can happen within a period of month, even if you are a large geographically spread organization. When it comes to other solutions that we provide, for example, contract authoring, like we spoke a little while ago about the standard processes, if you are adopting our standard processes, it is a quick exercise. Within a few weeks, we can start onboarding your contract types and you can have a system available to you, which is rolled out incrementally so that it keeps adding value throughout the implementation cycle. My answer would be anything from 3 to 4 weeks, you will start seeing value within the system. That is, what I always recommend to my customers. Don't go for a big bang. Go for incremental value realization throughout the implementation cycle. And if you go with our best practices, if you go with our recommendations, of course, the ride is much smoother.
And let me end this with a rapid fire round.
God, yes, please.
Aren't you excited?
Absolutely.
Okay. What's more dangerous, bad data or bad governance?
Bad governance, because we can handle bad data. But bad governance is something which is difficult to overcome if it doesn't fix itself quickly.
One myth about CLM you would like to retire forever?
That it takes long to realize value from its implementation.
What's the earliest signal that an implementation is going off track?
Where I see customers wanting to replicate the pain that they have today in their manual process onto a CLM.
If you had to cut the implementation time in half, what would you fix first?
I would fix 2 things. One is data, and the second is processes. For both, use our standard best practices to drive the implementation faster and also have very predictable outcomes. I think it's important to know what you're going to achieve at the end of the long exercise.
And be rapid on this one. If you could remove one stakeholder from every implementation, who would it be?
Remove someone? No one. I wouldn't want to remove anybody from the implementation. I think the more the merrier at the end of the day.
One word your clients overuse in meetings.
We are different. Not one word, but definitely overused.
And favorite negotiation tactic? Silence or data?
Data. Always data.
Thank you so much, Ajanta, for walking through the brave world of CLM implementation.
It was my pleasure, and it's definitely a world that I've walked with you. And and look forward to many, many more years.
Indeed.